A lot of people in the U.S. knew Shirley Jones in 1970 as the perfect mom on TV's The Partridge Family. But she was living a secret life behind the scenes that would have ended her career if anyone found out. Shirley's real life was anything but family-friendly. She went to wild parties with her first husband and turned down parts that made other actresses famous. She's finally ready to talk now that she's 90. Shirley Jones was born in Charleroi, Pennsylvania, on March 31st, 1934. People were having a hard time because it was the middle of the Great Depression. Shirley grew up with her parents, Paul and Marjorie, in a simple two-story house. They worked hard to make sure their daughter had everything she needed. They named her after Shirley Temple, a popular child star who was loved by many people at the time. Shirley quickly proved that she was also good at acting, so the name fit her well. She sang in church for the first time when she was only 6 years old. Everyone was surprised by how clear and beautiful her voice was. Shirley quickly became the singer of choice for weddings, church events, and small parties in the area. By the time she was 8, she was singing well-known songs at town events and charming people with her skills. Shirley's parents saw that she had a special talent and chose to help her become a better singer. They drove her to Pittsburgh twice a week so she could take singing lessons with Ralph Luando, a famous teacher. He was tough and made Shirley practice for hours, but he also helped her get a great voice. She learned how to breathe better so that she could easily reach high notes. As you sing difficult classical songs, Shirley loved music and worked hard to get better, even though it was hard. People couldn't believe she was still a girl when she was 14. Her voice was so smooth. That March 31st, 1954, when Shirley Jones turned 20, she made a choice that would change her life for good. The little Pennsylvania town of Charleroi was her last stop on her way to New York City. She had only $160 with her when she left. She didn't know what would happen, but she was set on following her dream of becoming a singer. Shirley moved into a small room at the rehearsal club, which is a cheap place for young actors to stay. Even though the rent was only $18 a week, it felt like a lot. This was Shirley's first week in the city. She tried out for shows, but no one seemed interested. After being turned down every day for 7 days, she was ready to give up. She chose to try out for one more role before going home. Things were different after that interview. Shirley went into a room where Rodgers and Hammerstein Productions was having auditions for John Fernley, who was in charge of casting. At the time, she had no idea who they were. The Best Things in Life Are Free and Embraceable You were the two songs she sang. John Fernley was shocked when he heard her voice and called Richard Rodgers right away. Rodgers saw her after a practice and liked her so much that he called Oscar Hammerstein too to hear her too. In just a few hours, Shirley was singing for both of them with a full orchestra. Her life changed after this one interview. Shirley made a deal with Rodgers and Hammerstein just 1 week later, on April 7th, 1954. They wouldn't do this for anyone else again and had never done it before. Shirley was promised $250 a week for 5 years, which is a lot of money for someone with no experience. She had a lot of ability, and Rodgers and Hammerstein wanted to help her become a star. They set up lessons for her in acting, dancing, and singing, and they helped her every step of the way. Even in her personal life, they told her she had to get their permission before making changes to how she looked. Shirley's first job on Broadway was as a chorus girl and backup for the lead part in South Pacific, 2 weeks after signing the contract. She was so scared on opening night that she stepped on the lead actress's dress during the curtain call. But even though it was embarrassing, everyone loved her. Shirley got to play Nellie Forbush 3 times when the main actor got sick. People love her shows. Quickly became well known for her beautiful voice and easy charm. Then Oklahoma came along and changed everything. She was chosen to play Lori Williams in the movie version by Rodgers and Hammerstein. Shirley had to try out for roles with big Hollywood stars, which was scary for someone who was so new to the business. But she did everything she could. On Valentine's Day 1955, during her last tryout, she got along great with Gordon MacRae, who had already been cast as Curly. She got the call on her 21st birthday. She got the part. That summer, filming began in the Arizona desert. Shirley worked very hard. She was on set for 16 hours a day, often in very hot weather. In one scene, her dress got caught in a stream, and she almost drowned. She had to learn quickly because it was her first time being in a movie. The crew had to cut her free to save her. A lot of help came from Gordon MacRae, an experienced actor. Shirley looked up to him as a youngster and couldn't believe she was working with her hero. Gordon was nice and patient, and he stayed late to help her with parts after shoots. The movie's best part was their song, "People Will Say We're in Love." Even reports of a relationship between them spread. But Shirley always said that Gordon was like a big brother to her. It was a huge hit. Oklahoma made over $7 million and was nominated for 4 Oscars. Shirley's next big role was as Julie Jordan in Carousel, 1956. There was talk that Frank Sinatra would play the lead part, but he quit on the first day of filming. He didn't want to film the same scene twice with 2 different cameras. The director told Shirley to call Gordon McRae right away, who was in Las Vegas. It cost money for Shirley to call him, and Gordon agreed to play the part. The two of them got along great, and the movie was another hit. Even though she was pregnant, Shirley worked hard on this project too. She passed out during one scene because she was so tired, but she kept going, and her act got praise. Shirley played the lead role in The Music Man in 1962. There are now many shows like it that are very popular, making almost $15 million. Behind the scenes, though, there was trouble. However, Cary Grant turned down the part of Professor Harold Hill and demanded that Robert Preston play it instead. Some people thought Shirley looked too young to play Marion Peru, which made her doubt her choice. The people who did her makeup used special methods to make her look older. Shirley did her best, even though the director made her film one scene more than 100 times. She later said she passed out while filming, but the finished cut was perfect. Shirley shocked everyone in 1960 when she played Lulu Baines in the movie Elmer Gantry. The part was very different from how she usually looked, which was very good. She played an angry prostitute, and the director wasn't sure if she could do it. He told her she would win an Oscar after her first scene, though, and she did. Shirley became the youngest winner in the history of that award category when she collected it at the age of 26. With less than 15 minutes of screen time, her part in the movie was small but important. Burt Lancaster hit her by mistake during a tense scene, leaving a bruise, but Shirley used the pain to fuel her performance. As her work went on, Shirley wanted to stop being seen as a good girl. In 1970, she played the lead role in The Partridge Family, which showed a more current and approachable side of herself. Then, Shirley surprised many of her fans with information about her personal life in her 2013 autobiography. She opened up about her open marriage to Jack Cassidy, her problems with depression and alcohol, and even how she tried dating in groups of 3. Her choices in her job were also talked about. For example, she turned down the part of Carol Brady on The Brady Bunch because it was too much like work she had already done. What was even stranger was that she said she had been offered the part of Mary Poppins, but turned it down because she was pregnant. Janet Leigh played that part, and it became famous. From 1970 to 1974, Shirley Jones played Shirley Partridge on The Partridge Family and became a TV star. She played a working mom on American TV for the first time, and the role felt real and like a person. It almost didn't happen, though. She was offered the part of Carol Brady on The Brady Bunch a year before. It didn't work out for her because the role was dull. Afterward, she said, "I didn't want to just take roasts out of the oven." Shirley wasn't sure what to do when the Partridge Family showed up. They told her that TV could hurt her chances of making it as a movie star, and they were right. Even though it put her in a certain mold, Shirley loved the idea of playing Shirley Partridge and was willing to take a chance. It turned out to be the right move. A lot of people loved the show, and Shirley became one of their favorite TV moms. Because she could stay home with her kids and play this part, it made her acting even more sincere. People loved seeing her as a mom who had lost her husband and led her family's pop band. Families all over the world saw the character as a sign of power and fun. One surprise on set was seeing Shirley work with David Cassidy, her real-life husband, who played her son Keith in the movie. No one, not even Shirley, knew that David was Shirley's husband when he tried out. When they understood what was going on, they both laughed when they ran into each other at auditions. Their connection on screen looked and felt so real, since they were close in real life. David often said that Shirley was more than just his wife. She was also his teacher. She taught him how to act professionally on set, and he liked how everyone looked up to her. But things didn't always go well. Because Shirley was both David's stepmother and a co-star, she had to listen to him talk about his love life, which made her feel weird. It was more than just a TV hit. That IT also became a big deal in music. I Think I Love You, the family's first song, came out before the show even started. The song didn't get much attention at first, but when a small radio station in Iowa played it, it became a big hit. It beat out the Beatles' Let It Be to become the #1 song in America by November 1970. The Partridge Family went on to make more records. At one point, 4 of their albums were in the top 100 at the same time. Shirley and David were the only ones who sang on the recordings, but the band was so famous that they were nominated for a Grammy. David had a hard time with the fame sometimes. He was one of the most well-known people in the world by 1972. His picture was on magazines, lunchboxes, signs, and everything else. He did not get a cut of the sales, though, so he only made $600 a week. He was angry about this unfair deal, and years later he sued Sony for unpaid wages. Shirley also became a pop culture star because of her role as a TV mom. The show's colorful bus and strange family home are also unforgettable parts of TV history. Things weren't as good as they seemed on the outside. There was a lot of trouble on set with Danny Bonaduce, who played Danny Partridge. He made a mess by throwing food and starting pillow fights when he was only 11 years old. The cast got so tired of him one time that they poured milk on his head to make him learn. Danny also had dyslexia, which made it hard for him to remember words. When the crew found out this, they read his lines out loud to him, and he quickly got them. In her role as Lori Partridge, Susan Day had her own problems. She went on crazy diets because she felt like she had to look beautiful. She started eating mostly carrots, her face turned orange, and she lost too much weight, which was not safe. Danny telling her she looked sick finally made her understand she needed to change. Later, Susan opened up about her problems with anorexia, which showed how hard it is for young actors. It wasn't easy, but the Partridge Family became a TV classic anyway. It wasn't just the bright bus or the catchy songs. The cast brought warmth and fun to their parts, even though some of them were having personal problems. Shirley Jones met Jack Cassidy when she was 21 years old. It was April 5, 1955, and they were in New York City being tried out for Oklahoma. Jack was 29 years old, married, and had a son. But that didn't make him wait to fall in love with Shirley. They fell in love quickly, and on August 5, 1956, a little more than a year later, they got married. There were 200 people at their wedding in a small church in Las Vegas. There were 7 layers of cake and 1,000 sugar roses on top. Shirley wore a beautiful Dior dress that cost $10,000. The fun didn't last long, though. Jack had to leave his vacation early because he had to go back to work on Broadway after only 2 days. Shirley took care of Jack's 6-year-old son, David Cassidy, after she married Jack. At age 22, she had to learn how to be a wife and a mom all of a sudden. David didn't live with them all the time. Most of the time, he lived with his mom, Evelyn Ward. But in the summers and holidays, he went to stay with Shirley and Jack. Shirley was scared when she met him for the first time because she wanted everything to go well. She even spent days preparing their apartment in New York for Christmas, which was his first Christmas there. Shirley and David got along well, even though they were only 16 years apart in age. When he had to deal with Jack, who was sometimes mean and moody, she was there for him and helped him. Shirley also pushed David to try acting and singing, which turned out to be very important in the future. Shirley and Jack had 3 boys, and all of them did great things in life. Sean was their first boy, and he was born in 1958. Since he was young, he loved singing and acting. In the 1970s, he became a teen idol. His big hit, "Da Do Ran Ran," even went to the top of the charts. Patrick, their second boy, was born in 1962. It was hard for him at first to fit in with his famous family, but he found his calling in musical theater. In 1982, he made his Broadway debut. Later, he appeared with Shirley in 42nd Street. Ryan, their youngest boy, who was born in 1966, went in a different direction. He worked in TV and movies behind the scenes. He started as a set maker and worked his way up to become a production designer and director. Shirley had a hard time balancing her job and raising 3 boys. Their house in Encino, California, was always full because they had to take the kids to school, play sports, and shoot. She thought about this time as one of the best in her life. It was crazy, but there was love and joy all around. Jack Cassidy's life was full of happy and sad times. He was shocked when he got married to Shirley Jones. Jack told Shirley that he had been with both men and women before their wedding night in 1956. Being honest with each other set the tone for their relationship, which had many good and bad points. One of Jack's affairs that got a lot of attention was with the songwriter Cole Porter. Jack was only 17 years old when he was in Porter's show Mexican Hayride. Porter exposed Jack to the fancy world of New York's upper class when he was 53 years old. It was said that their friendship turned romantic and lasted for years. Jack didn't stop after he married Shirley. He also slept with other women, like the actress Joan Collins in 1966. Shirley found out about this, but Jack denied it when Shirley asked him about it. The tension between them kept getting worse. Jack was interested in everything, even his marriage. Shirley later said that they had a threesome with another woman in the past. She didn't like it, but she did it to make Jack happy. It got harder to tell what Jack would do over time. He drank too much, and the things he did became strange. He did weird things like watering the lawn while naked or sitting in the corner of their house and saying he was Jesus. Shirley had a hard time with it, and things at home got crazy. They were married for 19 years, but things kept getting worse. Shirley's job kept getting better. She became famous on the Partridge Family and won an Oscar. Jack, on the other hand, had a hard time keeping his job. He fought a lot because he was angry about Shirley's success. He got drunk at a party in 1969 and told everyone that she was taking the attention away from him. The trouble got worse because Jack drank. In 1972, he was caught driving while drunk. He tried rehab, but it didn't work. His drinking and anger made things scary at home. Jack was so mad on Christmas Eve 1974 that he broke every ornament on their tree. Shirley had had enough by 1975. Jack went on a drinking binge that lasted for days, so she filed for divorce. A few weeks later, the split was finalized. Shirley still loved Jack a lot after they got divorced. Jack called her in December 1976 and asked if they could try again. Shirley said no because their past hurt her, but later started to think again. Jack died the next day in a house fire, which was sad. Shirley never told him that she might have changed her mind. Shirley Jones got married to Marty Ingalls on November 13, 1977, just 2 years after their split. People were interested in their relationship because they were so different from each other. Shirley was quiet and classy, and she was famous for her plays. Marty, on the other hand, was loud, strange, and full of energy, with a rough voice and a crazy sense of humor. A lot of people thought they were an odd pair. They didn't have a perfect marriage. A few times they broke up. In 2002, Shirley even filed for divorce, but she later changed her mind. Still, they were together for almost 38 years until Marty died in 2015. It was never dull when they were together. They wrote a book called Shirley and Marty, an unusual love story about their relationship. In it, they talked about how their differences helped their relationship work. Marty loved making big, showy moves. He ran a crazy campaign for Shirley to get an Emmy nod in 2006 and spent $150,000 on it. He called reporters all the time and sent them flowers, candy, and balloons to get the word out. Shirley wasn't able to make it to the Emmy event, so Marty showed up with a life-size cardboard cutout of her instead. Shirley loved him very much, even though his pranks sometimes made her mad. He died of a stroke on October 21, 2015. Shirley said, "He drove me crazy a lot of the time, but I will miss him and love him to the core every day." After 2 years, Shirley lost someone else very important to her. The date of her stepson's death was November 21, 2017, and he was 67 years old. David was a teen hero, but for many years he had a problem with drinking. He was caught for drunk driving several times and even went to rehab, but his drug use never really went away. David said in 2017 that he had dementia, just like his mom and dad. After he died, though, the truth came out in a film. David said he didn't have any kind of memory. He said it was completely caused by drinking too much. "Really, I lied about how much I drank. I hurt myself in this way to hide how sad and empty I felt." In his last few months, David's health quickly got worse. He was taken to a hospital in Florida right away on November 18, 2017. Being drunk for years had hurt his liver. They were with him when he died 3 days later. His daughter Katie, son Bo, and brothers Sean and Patrick were. Everyone who loved David was very sad when he died. Shirley and her family will always remember how talented he was and how hard it was for him. Shirley Jones has shown that love doesn't fade with age. She kept acting even when she was in her 80s, playing parts that shocked everyone. She played a Broadway star in the musical Waiting in the Wings, which she did with younger players. After 2 years, when she was 82, she played a free-spirited grandmother in the movie Irresistible Blueberry Farm, who gave love advice. She wasn't afraid to push the limits of what older actors could do in this part, which showed how brave she was. Then, when she was 84, She played the mother of a senator in the movie Eco-Teens, Save the World, which had a strong message about taking care of the earth. Shirley did not just work, she did great. She was in more than 30 videos and almost 100 picture shoots when she was in her 80s. Young actors looked up to her and often went to her for help because they saw how she kept working hard and loving what she did, no matter how old she was. Shirley also surprised her friends by going on TV shows. She played a shockingly badass character in Cougar Town when she was 79 years old. The character was nothing like how sweet she usually is. In 2014, she did voice work for the animation show Over the Garden Wall, which helped younger people learn about her skills. At age 82, she played the lead role in the strange comedy Children's Hospital, where her inappropriate humor went popular online. She also had a serious part on General Hospital that gave a family drama plot more depth. Shirley's TV jobs showed how versatile she was. People could laugh, think, or feel strongly about her. This shows that actors of any age can be great. Shirley was committed to helping others in addition to acting. She became a strong voice for Alzheimer's research after her husband was diagnosed at age 81. A live-streamed event where she told her story raised more than $1 million for the cause. At age 83, she joined an animal rescue group and helped pull dogs out of a building that was about to fall down. She won the Humanitarian of the Year award for this brave action. Shirley started a fund in 2019 to help poor artists who want to become famous. Over 100 students, including older people starting new jobs, got scholarships from her foundation. She went on a 50-city tour when she was 87 to raise money for schools to teach singing. She performed in every place and raised more than $5 million, which shows how much she cares about helping people. Shirley Jones has had an amazing life, and the last few years of it have only added to her fame. In 2010, when she was 76 years old, she shocked everyone by being nominated for an Emmy for her part in the crime thriller The Cleaner. Shirley had not played one of her most famous parts in decades, but this nomination showed that she could still do great work, even in her 70s. A lot of people started arguing that older stars should get bigger parts in Hollywood. Shirley added to the talk and spoke up for older actors like herself who are often forgotten. Shirley was given a big award by the Screen Actors Guild 4 years later, when she was 80 years old. The ceremony was one I will never forget. To remember her, stars like Hugh Jackman and Anne Hathaway sang "If I Loved You" from Carousel. Shirley talked about what it's like to get older in Hollywood in her speech. People in the crowd loved it so much that they stood up and cheered. Videos of her speech quickly spread around the world. Shirley made history in 2018 when she was 84 years old. She got an honors doctorate from Juilliard, which is one of the best art schools in the world. This award had never been given to someone so old. In her speech, she talked about how important it is to never give up and always learn. Her words went viral online. Shirley then got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2021, making her the oldest person to ever do so. Fans were thrilled, especially when David Cassidy, who she used to work with on the Partridge Family, came to party with her. A big show honoring her work was held at the Museum of Modern Art in New York in 2023. A high number of people came to see her work from over 70 years ago. Shirley turned 90 years old on March 31st, 2024. Her party was just as special as her work. It began when her kids brought her breakfast in bed as a surprise. They made blueberry pancakes, which were her favorite, and served champagne from a 1975 bottle that her late husband Jack Cassidy had saved. Shirley told her family some amazing stories about her job while she sipped the special drink. She said that another time, she was offered the part of Maria in The Sound of Music, but turned it down because she was already working on The Music Man. Shirley said she never felt bad about her choice, even though The Sound of Music was a big hit. She later shocked everyone by singing "If I Loved You" from Carousel. People in her family were moved to tears by how beautiful her singing was. Shirley's 3 boys, Sean, Patrick, and Ryan, all paid tribute to her that night. Sean, now 65 years old, told a story about how Shirley turned down a role in a James Bond movie with him because she wanted to be with her kids. Patrick, who was 62 years old, talked about how Shirley helped him get over his stage fright when he first started playing. For a month, she went to all of his shows in secret, dressing up as someone else so he wouldn't feel alone. Ryan, who was 58 years old and the youngest, had a treat for everyone. He told everyone about a new grant at Shirley's old school, Carnegie Mellon University, that was named after her. This scholarship would help kids from low-income families follow their art goals.